Do you realize the NFL season starts in like 2 weeks? It is go time. Millions of drafts are going to be happening over the next couple of weeks, and that's why today I'm giving you one sleeper on every NFL team, but I'm doing it in the only way I know how. I'm putting on my son's 8-year-old costume, child-sized helmet, and we're doing it let it flow style. That's right, today we're talking about one fantasy football sleeper from every NFL team. Some of these guys are going to need to be drafted. Some of them could be bottom of bench guys that you could get thrown into some trade deals before they pop off. And some of them may go undrafted, and that's okay. You just need to monitor them and add them to your watch list so you know if you need to pick them up at a certain time throughout the season. Now, I said I was doing it let it flow style, and we've got a lot of new people in the community. You may not even know what that is. That's when I put on my son's child-sized helmet and I go absolutely bat crazy. It's something we do during our live streams, and I need myself a preseason tune-up. So if you're ready to watch me speak until I basically pass out, now is the time to hit the like button. If we can get over 2,000 likes on this video, I'll give somebody down in the comment section a free 2024 fantasy football draft guide. So let me get a quick sip here. And let's do this. Let's put on this way too small helmet. Gotta buckle up for safety here. And here we go, 32 players, all sleepers, as fast as we can go. The first team up, it's the Atlanta Falcons. And when I look at Atlanta, I'm going with Darnell Mooney. We're going full Mooney, a former 1,000-yard wide receiver, a big play wide receiver. Rondale Moore is out, and Kyle Pitts is still struggling to catch the ball in camp. Give me Darnell Mooney in Atlanta. For Arizona, it's Greg Dortch. To us, that's big Dortch energy, and he's always been a receiver that Kyler Murray looks towards. He is standing out in camp. He is flashing this preseason, and he's going to be the starting slot wide receiver in Arizona, who's going to be trailing a lot and throwing the ball quite a bit. How about Baltimore? It's Zay Flowers. What other wide receiver can we really rely on in Baltimore? Go ahead, I'll wait. Exactly, there is no other wide receiver to worry about in Baltimore, and even though he's drafted a little bit higher than a lot of guys we're going to talk about today, he's still highly underrated. He really found his footing in week 12 of last season. From week 12 through week 17, he was the overall wide receiver 16 in fantasy football, and let's not forget the next best pass-catching weapon in Baltimore is Mark Andrews, and he's only played a full season one time in his career. On to Buffalo, the Bills, it's Khalil Shakir. I have talked about this guy at nauseum throughout the offseason. He is the only wide receiver in Buffalo with any chemistry with Josh Allen. He gained a much bigger role in this offense after Joe Brady took over at offensive coordinator last year, and he is one of the best wide receivers Buffalo had the second half of 2023. Now, no Diggs, no Gabe Davis. Fire up some Khalil Shakir, which then takes us to Carolina. It's Bryce Young. We all know that Bryce can sling it, but that offensive line last year absolutely sucked, and all he had was Adam Thielen. Now a new head coach in Dave Canellis. He is a quarterback sensei, and he knows how to take all the pressure off of quarterbacks. They also added wide receiver Deontay Johnson and Xavier Leggett, as well as bolstering their offensive line. Bryce Young could surprise a lot of people in 2024. Chicago, how about a rookie quarterback? It's Caleb Williams. The weapons that this kid has at his disposal, I think even Kenny Pickett could find success in Chicago. That's how good this overall offense is. Then you add in the fact that this kid is already showing that the NFL stage isn't too big for him. I really don't see how he fails. He's got DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, one of the best wide receiver trios in the NFL, and the dude can sling the rock down the field. Which then brings us to Cincinnati. It's Chase Brown, the backup running back. Yeah, why are we talking about a backup? Because he's a damn good running back. He also showed flashes in 2023. Joe Mixon is gone, and Zach Moss is now the starter, but he's never played a full season in his career. We're already going to expect a split workload, but can you imagine if Zach Moss goes down? Chase Brown could explode all over your league mates. Which means we then go down to Cleveland. It's where I have Jerome Ford, and the guy is still being drafted way too late. I love Nick Chubb. I am the OG Nick Chubb truther. But that knee injury that he suffered last year was gruesome. Really, the only thing holding his knee on was skin. At that point, everything else was torn. I know he's going to be back on the field, but he's not going to be 100% until the start of the season. Jerome Ford totaled 1,100 yards last season and 9 total touchdowns, and he could be the week 1 starter again. You're getting him in the double-digit rounds. Which means now we go down to Dallas, where I got Jalen Tolbert, and I talked about him months ago, and a lot of people are like, yeah, not really interested now. all of a sudden people are a little bit more interested. They're looking at the CeeDee Lamb contract issues, and people are just overlooking Jalen Tolbert. There are minimal weapons in Dallas. They're going to have a below average run game as a whole and a high volume passing offense where there are plenty of targets available for Jalen Tolbert. What about Denver? I'm going with Courtland Sutton. He has played for 6 years and had 9 different quarterbacks, however, has had at least 60 catches for 800 yards in every season he's played at least 15 games. We know Denver is going to be trailing a lot, having to throw a lot, which means, yes, a lot of Courtland Sutton. Now, typically this is where most humans would need a water break, but no, I'm going strong right now. And I'm here to tell you that if you think you need some help monitoring some of these players, maybe setting your lineups throughout the season, we got you covered. You need to consider becoming a channel member by hitting the join button just below this video. There are multiple tiers to choose from. All of them come with Discord access, which is by far the best Discord in the fantasy football industry because there's no asshats in there. It is a toxic-free zone filled with people that love football. Plus, you're going to get bonus content like film reviews, in-season flex rankings, members-only live streams on Sunday mornings to help you with those last-minute decisions. We got you covered. Heck, the highest tier even gives you access to a ticket system where basically you talk one-on-one with me and Kyle and we help you manage your fantasy football team. But I'm a crappy sales guy, so take it from the members down below in the comment section. If they're happy, you probably will be too. But anyway, let's get back to some sleepers. We're going to Detroit and it's Jameson Williams. We all know that Detroit is a top 5 NFL offense. We know that defensive attention is going to be going the way of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta. The former first-round pick just needs an opportunity. He just needs volume. They've already come out and said they're expanding his role in 2024. He's a big play wide receiver who doesn't need 120 plus targets, but if he can get 90, watch out. How about Green Bay? It's Dontavian Wicks. It has to be Dontavian Wicks, another guy I've been talking about all off season long. The most underrated wide receiver in Green Bay. He can literally do it all. Great hands, body control, route running. He's even being compared to Davante Adams by former players. I will have him on every single one of my fantasy football teams that I can in 2024. Which leads us to Houston, and I went with Cade Stover, and a lot of you guys are going, who the is Cade Stover? There are just so many weapons in Houston, it's really hard to find a sleeper. Stover has been talked up all camp though, as someone who really doesn't come across as a rookie and is getting high praise from the coaching staff and other players. He has an opportunity if Dalton Schultz kind of struggles out the gate. How about Indianapolis? It's Adonai Mitchell. Josh Downs is dealing with a high ankle sprain, and Alex Pierce has never had over 41 catches in a season. Adonai Mitchell is a big play wide receiver, another one of those guys that doesn't need 120 plus targets to have a good season. Plus, there's a little bit of an added bonus. If Anthony Richardson goes down, the fantasy savior Joe Flacco is the backup in Indianapolis. But enough of Joe Flacco. Now we're going down to Jacksonville. It's Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie wide receiver. He's making big plays all over camp. Gabe Davis is not going to be some volume type receiver in this offense. With Christian Kirk underneath, Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be flying all over the field. Love his potential this year. Kansas City. How about Carson Steele? Another guy that you guys are probably going, who the hell is Carson Steele? Google him. He looks like Thor when he's out there on the field. We know Pacheco is always out there getting banged up due to his running style. CEH has been a disappointment from day one, and you know Kansas City is going to try to incorporate new things in 2024 to catch the league napping and try to go out and win their 3rd straight Super Bowl. What about Las Vegas? I'm going with Trey Tucker, and I'm saying that because he's playing with so much confidence right now as the starting slot wide receiver for the Raiders. We also know that Gardner Minshew has now been named the starter, which is great news for this passing game. We know that Trey Tucker can win underneath, and he's already shown so far in this preseason he has the speed to go deep down the field. Everyone is out there watching Davante Adams and Jacoby Myers and maybe the 2 tight ends. Ain't nobody out there watching Trey Tucker, but we should be. But now we go down to LA, the Chargers first, and it's Kamani Vidal for me. When you look at the depth chart and you see guys like Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, your immediate thought is like, dang, those guys are very, very healthy. Because that's not something that anyone ever thinks about when they think of Gus Edwards and especially J.K. Dobbins. But with Vidal, the dude plays exactly like the last running back that Harbaugh had in San Francisco, Frank Gore. Not always flashy, but gets the damn job done. He can handle a heavy workload and could definitely earn a role in this backfield if either Gus or JK go down again. Which takes us over to the other locker room. It's the Rams. It's Colby Parkinson, tight end now of the Los Angeles Rams. We know that Tyler Higbee is recovering from a torn ACL. Puka is already banged up in camp right now, and Cooper Kupp has dealt with injuries off and on the last 2 seasons. Parkinson could see an immediate target share, which means now we're down to Miami. It's another tight end. It's Jonnu Smith, who's basically going undrafted everywhere. He is the fastest and most athletic tight end that Mike McDaniel has ever had in Miami. We've already seen him line up all over the field, including even running the ball out of the backfield. On a team that scores as much as Miami, we could definitely see Jonnu Smith utilized in the red zone a ton this year because all the defensive attention is looking at Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Odell Beckham. But from the sun of Miami to the snow of Minnesota, I'm going with Ty Chandler in the backfield there. It's great when Aaron Jones is on the field. The problem is he's now missed games in 5 of his last 7 years in the league. Do not be surprised if he also has some sort of role to start the year alongside Aaron Jones. Keep Aaron Jones healthy. Keep him fresh, keep him available all season long. Plus, they're going to have to run the ball a lot to take a lot of pressure off of Sam Darnold and that passing game. Now over to New England. I'm going with Jalen Polk, the best wide receiver in New England. He was drafted in the 2nd round for a reason, and someone is going to have to catch balls in New England this season. When you look around that total offense, I see Jalen Polk as being the safety blanket for whoever the hell they have playing quarterback. Which then takes us down to New Orleans, and it's Rashid Shaheed, another guy I've been talking about for months. People need to pay attention to him. He is the true number 2 in New Orleans as of right now. Crazy speed, deep threat, super efficient, slightly banged up right now, but nothing major, and should definitely be a part of a bench stash pick for you in your drafts this year. Which takes us up to New York, the Giants first, and I'm going with Tyrone Tracy. Now, he had a scare in camp just a couple of days ago where he was carted off and put into an air cast. Now it seems like he's going to be okay. Sounds a little bit more like an NBA player, not an NFL player, but that's a different story. Once again, though, people are starting to see that Daniel Jones just isn't it, and the Giants are going to have to run the ball a lot once again. It's not like Devin Singletary, who's the starter in New York, is some absolute elite option that's going to command every backfield touch. It's not like there's many sleepers in New York either. It's kind of just one of those teams that a lot of people, myself included, just are not interested in when it comes to fantasy football. Now, what about the Jets on the other side? I'm going with Mike Williams, and all of you just did a collective, you don't want Mike Williams, but he's being drafted so late, it doesn't hurt your team if he absolutely just sucks or gets hurt again. No one is going to deny the skill set that Mike Williams has. The only knock against him every single year is his health. But we also know that rookie wide receiver Malachi Corley is progressing pretty slow. A healthy Mike Williams, opposite of Garrett Wilson, with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback, could be a huge boost to your fantasy team, considering how late you're drafting him. What about Philadelphia? I'm going with Will Shipley. Another team with not a lot of sleeper options, but if something were to happen to Saquon Barkley, a running back who's been known to get banged up in the past, we could see Will Shipley get a very nice role in a very good offense. Just a name to pay attention to. Which then brings us down to Pittsburgh. It's Patty F, Pat Freiermuth, and really, who knows what Pittsburgh is going to look like? There is potential there, but we also know that Arthur Smith is the offensive coordinator. But hold up, wait a minute, let me put some stats up in it. Last year in Atlanta, he targeted his tight ends 176 times. Now, no, Pat Freiermuth is not going to get 176 targets, but he should get volume because no matter who the quarterback is, whether it's Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, both of them throughout their careers have heavily targeted their tight ends, so Patty F is going to have a chance. Which then brings us down to San Francisco. I'm going with wide receiver Jacob Cowan. You thought I was going Ricky Pearsall. I know. You thought I would. No, I'm going Jacob Cowan. Between the Brandon Ayuk trade rumors, Ricky Pearsall already being banged up with multiple injuries in camp, one of the most underrated wide receivers in this year's draft was Jacob Cowan, and it all had everything to do with where he played college ball. Don't nobody care about the University of Arizona when it comes to football, unless you're Gronk. But in an offense like San Francisco's, If this kid gets an opportunity due to injuries or a trade, he is going to surprise a ton of people. What about Seattle? I'm going with tight end Noah Fant. Now, Seattle parted ways with 2 other tight ends this offseason, which means there are 56 more targets available, potentially going the way of Noah Fant. Last season, he was top 15 among all tight ends in the NFL with average depth of target, yards per target, yards per reception, catch rate, target separation, and contested catch rate, and nobody pays any attention to him. How about Tampa Bay? You better believe it. I'm going with Chris Godwin still. He has had 1,000 plus receiving yards in 4 of the last 5 seasons, 125 plus targets in 3 straight, 80 plus receptions in 3 straight, and has averaged 11.7 fantasy points per game over the last 3 years. Now he's moving back to the slot full time in 2024. Last year, from week 14 on, Chris Godwin was the wide receiver 10 overall in fantasy football because, yes, that's when they put him back in the slot. Loving Chris Godwin. What about Tennessee? I'm going with Tajay Spears. Not all backfield splits are created equal. This one that we have in Tennessee is a great one. And why do I say that? Both Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard are not guys that need to be bell cow running backs. They thrive and are way more efficient when they have lesser roles. There's going to be pass catching weapons in this offense to pull defenders outside the box, and we know that both Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears are great values in 2024 that aren't going to hurt your team if they underperform. And then lastly, it's the Washington Commandos, and I'm going with Terry McLaurin, a new rookie quarterback that absolutely loves to throw the ball deep down the field, paired up with one of the best deep ball wide receivers in the NFL in Terry McLaurin. He's also had 4 straight 1,000-yard seasons and now gets one of the best quarterbacks he's had in his career. He's a great value here in 2024 because people are bringing past year's bias into this season, and where Terry McLaurin is being drafted, he is a great pickup this season. All right, there you have it. All 32 NFL teams, one sleeper from every team. Yes, my vision is starting to get a little bit blurry. Yes, I do need a drink of water. Am I gonna pass out? Probably not. But I am going to get out of here for the day, so hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, do me a favor and leave a comment down below and let me know what sleeper are you trying to get in 2024. But I really do hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, and then most importantly, like I always say, do your part to make the world a better place.